This is the ATL2 model, which completely replaced the original Atlantique in French Navy service. And here, a really nice view of the upper surfaces. In their weapons bays, as well as for ISR. Detector boom protruding from the back of the aircraft, a classic configuration for so many maritime patrol aircraft, including the RIAT Nimrod MR1s and MR2s, and indeed
And here it goes, the incredible Lockheed U2S.
Information that's being passively collected or actively collected is then transmitted through the satellite dish film on a large reel produced by Kodak. Yes, that was in the back of the airplane, and it was a purely optical sensor, passively operated, and it's the typical. It's basically the sensor that the airplane
down and calling out the heights.
landing gear tandem, meaning the wheel in front, the wheel in back, and nothing on the wings. So as it touches down, one wing will eventually contact the runway. It's a sacrificial titanium skid plate just for that purpose. Tail flash, that's a red dragon with a top hat and a monocle having a nice cup of tea.
I love it. What a fantastic aeroplane. Please pass on our thanks to all the crew from the 99th ERS who made this happen. The Lockheed U2S. Just a magnificent sight. Popeye, thanks so much for coming. Of course, people can look at a U2 close up in the static park as well here.
That's right, just behind us here is the slick display U2, absolutely.
From that maneuver, we're going straight into loop. Power to ground, even with a flow. That's the real message of the new fighter right
the notice separation where the formation is going to split into 3 sections. Speakman by the voice of Tony One, and this will be the great separation of the cardiac.
K-16 Stabers. In comes the formation. Both aircraft now in for a slow pass with gear down.
The challenge was enormous. Technical restoration, mountains with paperwork, but today, through pushing everything, and the G91 would take off of everything that came next.
300 to around 400 nautical miles if an extra fuel tank is installed in the cargo bay. The Merlin's now been in service with the Portuguese for 20 years.
Dedication pass! During this flyby, the demo pilot is watching the public, so it's a perfect opportunity to when to say goodbye to
this weekend. Undercarriage is down now. 14 wheels and tyres designed to operate from unprepared surfaces at high weights. The A400M has a maximum bank angle of 120 degrees, which we've seen demonstrated here by Airbus test pilots in the past. We won't see anything quite like that from this Luftwaffe aircraft, but still very impressive. Apart from transport and air dropping. For example, Germany was the first user of this aircraft to declare it operational as an air-to-air refueling tanker, and it began using that capability to support Luftwaffe sorties against Daesh, basing out of Jordan. More recently, these aircraft have been refueling multinational assets on patrols relating to the enhanced air policing missions NATO's been mounting since the start of the Ukraine conflict. Being brought back in simulated drop condition. You see the rear ramp is open. Not just against ground-to-air fire, but also the air-to-air threat. So, the team starting off in box formation, performing a quarter-clover manoeuvre, rolling right and pulling through, and they'll be staying in this very tight box formation for an initial barrel roll. This is a manoeuvre so named because the aircraft are basically describing the inside of an imaginary barrel laying inside in the sky. What a tight formation this is, led for the 2025 display season by Jamil Zayab, who first joined the Royal Jordanian Falcons back in 2002. He is currently the Director of Operations to the formation out of box and into T for Tango, and to perform an ordinary Cuban 8 manoeuvre, but they're going to exit it still inverted with a painful negative G push. Engine of 315 horsepower, so I'm going to be NEIO 580 V1A. Le voltige de la pédalaire et de l'espace. But here we see the Royal Jordanian Falcons again exiting inverted in front of us as they head towards the display line, and they're going to be performing this time an inverted turn. And we're seeing it used so splendidly by the Royal Jordanian Falcons here in Liverpool. Another quarter-clover manoeuvre out in front of us to reposition the B-axis. The A-axis display line parallels the main runway. The B-axis is at right angles to that. They head away from us now to get ready for the first of the splits in this display. There they go, two to the left, two to the right, and this is their salute to you. This is the Royal Jordanian Falcons heart. And as they cross, and they're heading towards the display centre for crossover. And they split as they do so. Three of the aircraft going on to the north, while the pilot can fly on the back of the formation. The number 4 pilot uses the chance to see something of the sunlight capabilities of the extra. The spotman is Ferhat Al-Waitat, who joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force in 2006. Graduated from King Hussein Air College in 2010 as a fighter pilot, flying the F-5 and then the F-16 Fighting Falcon. He's been on the Royal Jordanian Falcons since 2021. It was at the personal behest of that very fine aviator, his late Majesty King Hussein bin Talal, when the Royal Jordanian Falcons were founded back in 1976 on the Pit Special, the 3-shift formation. Pulling up for a loop on the 45-degree line.
Is there anything that I need to
And the leader will now be pulling up into a barrel roll. As they complete the barrel roll, the solo re-enters. And now we see the leader and the right wingman going into mirror formation, the left wingman barrel rolling dynamically around their smoke. We transition to the Air Force's transport fleet on the Airbus C295 twin turbocraft. And of course, being the smallest aircraft on display here at RIAT, it is the only one that is flown on a private pilot's license. With a maximum takeoff weight of just over 2,000 pounds, and a cost of somewhere in the region of 350,000 pounds, plus the inevitable VAT. If you can afford it, good luck. In big formation now, primarily quarter-quarter league manoeuvres that are such a good way of changing display axis. And they split on the way down. Power to weight ratio of the extra EA 330 LX. They clear, the solo comes back in for a session of freestyle aerobatic manoeuvres up into the vertical and then tail sliding back down through his own smoke, transitioning into a spin.
Crash might break, I think.
They're still inverted as the solo crosses them, heading underneath them and pulling up behind them as the team begins to roll upright. As I say, the team comes from what's known officially as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and the manoeuvre they're setting up for now is called the Hashemite Break. Break, go! will shortly be reforming to crossing a perfect crossing display, and the Solo pulls up into the vertical for a series of vertical rolls. It was in 1992 that the Royal Jordanian Falcons replaced their hit specials with the extra 300. Again, heading on the nice edge of the crossover. Back in line of west formation. Performing a very tiny rock steady formation flying. Now watch the rejoin by the Solo. And also watch the transition from line of west into hit formation by the other three. As the Solo chases it's a manoeuvre that requires all three axes of the control system to be used. So we start building this aileron in the top end of rudder comes in, then you first hit the AMD, the elevator goes forward to provide upward lift. Again, this in front of us. They're setting up into what they call Concorde formation, and this is for their final manoeuvre. This is for their Concorde fan brake. We give you the 2025 Royal Jordanian. on behalf of the 2025 RIAT Typhoon display team, we'd like to say thank you to...
Fixed-wing squadron of the Slovenian Air Force in the hands of a multiple air tattoo flying award winner, Captain Fiorelli. And when you watch this display because all the linking manoeuvres are aerobatic in themselves. Yes. So, down the line. Slightly modifying the sequence at this point compared with what we saw yesterday. Yeah, expecting negative half cube there with roll all the way down. That's definitely an outside Cuban. PRXIX engine at its disposal, and it's the most potent equipment. Aircraft such as this and as cargo often compared in terms of performance and power-to-weight ratio with the Merlin. The power plant, as said, is a PT-6A 62 turbo. Straight in towards us again. A full roll, out pulling up. Another full vertical roll. And this should be his tail slide. Yep, the speed all bleeds off and back he falls. And having executed a quarter vertical roll on the down line, he's not going to pull out, he's going to push out inverted. Mark, just explain to us, what does that feel like from a pilot's point of view?
It's horrendous. It is one of the worst manoeuvres.
In a negative G environment, the blood goes to the brain. Quite often, you can end up with some physiological damage done, in particular, burst blood vessels in the eyes. Many years ago, when we were developing our Phantom display, we had a -2.5 G push-up. It felt spectacular, but it didn't look particularly good. One day I burst the blood vessel in my eye, and we moved it to the seamless instantly. No such into a maximum rate turn, and once he completes it, he'll be performing a quarter roll so as to be inverted on his exit, and then he's going to push again. The two in-ones are rated at 250 kilograms, and the outer is rated at 110 kilograms. So we both have full closer support and small diameter box training. Operating the Ambassador Vigo, Greece, in late 2023 in conjunction with Merlin Air Force. No less.
Maar ook vanaf daar had ik een beetje, maar ja, je zag gewoon dat er regen
Very rapidly flown there, 540 degree to invert, or 1.5 times round. And this should be a full outside loop, but with a roll on the top. And there you'll see him ending up inverted on the downline again.
Hoe kijk je hier foto's terug? Zet.
Speed required in order to complete it. Rolling in the vertical down at the western end,
And this, Mark, is the sequence we were talking about earlier of this display. Now, sequence 19, the slow roll, or as I will call it, the 1 nautical mile slow roll. So, very slow rate of roll starting now. Through the knife edge.
Well, it's about to end up the right way up because this is the end of the display, but with a flourish, a half-Hudournik manoeuvre. He's got the gear down now. What a final approach this is. Just superb. He's won several of the flying awards in previous years. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he won, and I'm not willing to predict anything, but we don't have a vote there, so we can influence. Yeah. Well, just superb, especially in nasty conditions now. Absolutely, yeah. This RIAT is probably less than the second fixed-wing squadron of the Slovenian Air Force in the very positive Galactus 69 air. And they're being asked to hold at the display datum point. They're not going into their display just yet. Rotary wing team of rescue helicopters, as I say, from the Czech Air Force, from the 243rd Helicopter Squadron at Kabeli. And these are two examples of the Peter Del Svidnik W3A Sokol. The PZL-W3 Sokol, or the English translation, the Falcon, is a medium-sized, twin-engine, multi-purpose helicopter, developed and manufactured by Polish helicopter company PZL Svidnik, which is now owned by Leonardo. It was the first helicopter entirely designed and produced in Poland. And the Czechs never really expected to procure this type, you might say, because they received them as payment for 10 MiG-29 Fulcrum fighters, which were transferred from the Czech Republic to Poland. We've got them in two different colour schemes here, and we see the first one in the red and white scheme, deploying initially. So the Sokol has been offered in a number of diverse variants, and it's capable of performing a typical range of helicopter missions, including passenger transport, VIP, cargo, medevac, firefighting, and search and rescue. And when used in the maritime environment, such as the search and rescue aircraft that we see here, the rotorcraft is typically outfitted with floats, a transponder, a GPS, night vision equipment, and a Lucas winch, which we're about to see in operation. So the red and white one is one of the Sokols that's configured for the HEMS Helicopter Emergency Medical Service role, and here it's undertaking a rapid pickup of the survivors on a short line. But this is no ordinary pickup, because I'm not sure if I've been plucked from the ocean. We last saw the type in the camouflage form, giving a solo in 2022, and this is the only air show outside the Czech Republic where it's being performed. And leading the team in the red and white helicopter is Lieutenant Colonel Petr Safarek, a very experienced helicopter pilot in the Czech Air Force. And he's making a really welcome return to the display circuit. He's flown solo displays in the Sokol in the past, but he didn't fly any in 2024 because he was battling cancer. He's made a full recovery from that. He got his medical back after 430 days of grounding in January of this year, and he has started flying demos again in April. And now he is bringing back the, well, I'm not quite sure whether they're classed as rescuers or survivors in the course of this sequence, but anyway, they're being deposited back on the ground by Petter. And now the pair are in close formation once again. Operations after severe floods in the Czech Republic. The HEMS aircraft, like the red and white one, have got a doctor and nurse accompanying the 3 flight crew, and they're on standby all day, every year. 4-minute readiness by day, 10 minutes by night, and they also fly from a detachment base at Pilsen. The advanced rotor design incorporates the use of all composite materials in the 3-bladed tail and 4-bladed main rotor. The rotors also have an ice protection system which gives the helicopter the ability to operate in environments between -40 and +43 degrees. Back in at the display centre now, and flying the camouflaged Sokol, the number 2 in the formation, is Major Antonin Petru, PhD, who's also flown a variety of helicopter types in the Czech Air Force. And here they are entering what we'd often term a carousel, for which the team describes as a merry-go-round. Climbs before pushing back into forward flight. And this is where those of you nearest the display centre point will now get a really good close view of the two W3As, because they're both going to be performing rolling landings. This is a really spirited demonstration, some really tight low altitude turns there. It's lovely. Maneuvers in today's displays described as a yo-yo, in particular from the fast jets, and that's generally a rolling and climbing manoeuvre. But we're about to see another yo-yo manoeuvre here, where they're actually not yo-yoing the aircraft, but yo-yoing the survivors. I don't know what the tactical application of this is, but what it does demonstrate is really good comms between the winchman and the pilot. And this time it's the camouflaged aeroplane hoisting them in. Apart from the pilots that I mentioned, there are quite a few other crew members involved in this display. The co-pilot of the red and white aircraft is First Lieutenant Petr Prochaska, the flight engineer, Warrant Officer Jaroslav Ducek, and the 2 rescue men, Warrant Officers Yuri Stashny and Adam Jan. On board the camouflage helicopter is co-pilot First Lieutenant Katerina Kardosova and flight engineer, Warrant Officer Radek Svetlik. And that's really pretty coordinated descending spiral turns. getting ready to rejoin a formation. That's the concluding bow.
Part of the RIAT flying program in recent years, and here it is. Starting its display from the German Army, it's the NHIndustries NH90 TTH, the Tactical Transport Helicopter.
The NH90 helicopter was designed to meet NATO's requirement for a modern medium. The NH90 was formerly a product of NHIndustries conglomerate, which is now part of Airbus Helicopters. The multi-role machine is available in two main versions, the TTH standing for Tactical Transport Helicopter and NFH standing for NATO Frigate Helicopter. Developed as a partnership between France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and later Portugal, the NH90 first flew in 1995 and eventually entered service in 2007. That portion with a 360-degree steep stop turn to the left. The aircraft brings the speed back from 120 knots, descending to 100 feet above the ground for some hovering demonstrations. Through 90 degrees, accelerating from 45 knots for a 120-knot flypast. Features, all based around operational survivability. Four facets to that: firstly, detection avoidance, self-protection, survivability, and lastly, crashworthiness. The detection avoidance is gained by the aircraft having the lowest radar signature in its class, thanks to the helicopter's diamond-shaped full composite airframe. In addition, infrared suppression devices and vertical engine air intakes further contribute to lowering the NH90's acoustic.
Air arms have been deployed to Afghanistan at various times. They've also served in Mali. But there are also roles in support of civil society. For example, tackling floods that occurred in late 2021 in the German states of North Rhine-Westphalia and Rhineland-Palatinate.
As this, the inherent redundancy of four segregated analog and digital channels of fly-by-wire greatly increase the survivability if the NH90 is engaged by small arms fire. There are two operational units of the German Army flying these days, which some of you may well remember. It's very good to have the Heeresflieger back here 40 years later.
closer on the way down. From 4,000 feet, Typhoon will dive into a double spiral, chasing speed to launch straight into a crucial turn right on the edge of what human mode can take. This is the Blackhawk return flight.
And talking of interoperability,
second occasion as him acting as officer commanding of 43 Squadron in the Spitfire over Italy in 1945.
God bless you, sir. Thank you for your service. And from RIAT 2025, we salute you.
Just a hint in the sky. It's up to you to imagine. So far, 33 just last year from 12 nations. In real-time data. Turning energy into maneuver, visionary power, core skills for the next generation of fighter pilots.
climbing at over 400 miles per hour. Red one pulls them up, keeps pulling them up, which means he started the show full. And instantly you see 6 and 7 sit behind Red 1, 8 and 9 collapse to form a world famous Diamond 9. Reaching a height of over 5.5 to 6,000 feet, the aircraft now slowing down as Red 1 brings them back down and twists them around to the right. Leading the team into 9 Arrow. The smoke comes on for 9 Arrow present. Once again, it's the Red Arrows. On the right of Red 1 is Red 2, Flight Lieutenant Rob Thomas. Rob is in his first year of the team. Immediately he was taken from training and made into instructor of the home team at 1 and 2 Explosion based on once again, Red 1 pulls them up at over 400 miles per hour, showing the expertise of the pilots, maintaining that formation in the loop. However, showing how good they are, they then change formation in the loop from swan into shuttle. Reaching a height of over 6,000 feet, aircraft slowing now only to 120 miles an hour. The controls are a lot less restricted. That speed now starts to build. 200, back to 300, back to 400 miles per hour as Red 1 brings them around to the left.
So red.
To the left-hand side of that centre stand is Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Andrew McEwen, known as Macca. On the right-hand side, all the way back of that formation at the rear, is Red 4, Scully and Chris McCann. Chris is working extremely hard at the back of that formation. He's up to the As I said, there are 11 pilots on the Red Arrows. You've got Reds 1 through 9 displaying for each day. The abort call is made from Reds 9 as Reds 8 and 9 roll around the rest of the formation, but watch for the colour change as Red 1 brings them down the line. A little bit right. Start the second half. So once again, from the left, in our Diamond 9, it's the Red Arrows. As we go into the second half, we start the second half, which is the more heart-pumping, jaw-dropping part of the show, with the 5-4 split. And in the second half, we break Enid from the left, Hannah from the right, for the 5-4 cross. Number 4, roll goers. Number 4 rolls around the smoke of Enid. Sat behind Red 1 is Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Dustin Wales, known as Dusty. Dusty is in his second year on the team. He's originally from Zimbabwe, a former Typhoon of the Synchro. Once again, get your cameras ready for the Hannah break. Camera flip.
Oh, look at that.
Red 6 and 8 go off to our left. Red 8, Red 7, Flight Lieutenant George Hobday. George is in his second year at the team. Again, he was taken from training and made an instructor on the Tucano before then joining the Typhoon Force, serving on 11 Squadron, again with a service on operations over Iraq and Syria. as the synchro pair come back to meet in the middle to complete the manoeuvre called the boomerang. Each aircraft passed within only 30 meters. They put hard now up to 6G, turning the boomerang into the cyclone. The smoke comes on for the world famous synchro heart. And coming in from the top right hand side is Red 8 as he spears the heart. Red 8 is Flight Lieutenant Rich Walker, an very experienced aviator. He's flown Harrier, he has flown Typhoon, and he's also been a qualified flying instructor on the Hawk T-Mark II. The double roll. Eight and 9, roll goes, Reds 8 and 9, roll around the rest of the formation in the corkscrew. And once again you can see us trailing our famous red, white and blue. Not only here at RIAT are we flying with synthetic aviation fuel. Aircraft now pulling up to 6G, it needs everything about them. It's weighing 6 times heavier than you and I as we stand on the airfield. They're pulling hard against that G-pants. They cross. Not only that, we change from red to blue, blue to red. They keep that 6G turn on, red 7 in our left, maintaining that separation on red 6 to complete the manoeuvre called the circus. Forms a barrel roll in the sky, leaving a snake-like smoke trail in the sky in a manoeuvre called the serpent. The motto of the Red Arrow. Red 7 and 8 from the right. For one of our new manoeuvres for 2025, this is Chainsaw. Red 6 and 9 being inverted from 2 and 3, roll goes, 2, 3, roll to the outside. Clear goes, roll to the outside. It's one of the hardest maneuvers for our new pilots to master each year. This is the rollback. Around the smoke of Red 6, while Red 7 does a grand job of hiding in the smoke of Red 6. For our second manoeuvre for 2025, this is Tempest. Barrel cross at only 30 meters, 100 feet wingtip to wingtip, followed by inverted flight to leave the display area in a manoeuvre called the crossbow. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Royal International Air Tattoo, it's been an honour and a pleasure, so please put your hands together for the 2025 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team. It's the Red Arrows! W1.
aircraft descending to about 120 knots, 25-degree angle of attack. Touching the display at 230 metres for the slow blast.